The Necrons and Aeldari worked together during the War in Heaven, so it begs the question, after so long at war, what enemy emerged to force some of them to be allies? What did they build together, and how could this act be a threat in M40? Let's begin. The Aeldari maiden world of Agar-Methia is discovered to be a Necron tomb world, and a force of Aeldari is sent there. Some have been there before. The tomb world guards a vault, and they want its contents, but don't know what they are. They fight through Necron forces and find the vault, but strangely it has ancient Aeldari runes locking it, and the Necron tech on the planet cuts off the Aeldari from their warp and psychic abilities. Even the servant of the half-birthed god Inead can't hear her god. And then, from the glow of the vault prison, a demon horde poured forth. Eldrad said the vault is the key. For aeons the Necrontyr secured this world against the incursion of the dark powers. The field that has hidden the vault from the gaze of the gods for untold lifetimes has fallen, and the open vault feeds the demon host its power. If it closed, the demons would be destroyed. As one, the combined host of the Inari and Samhan fell upon the tomb complex. The Necrontyr scythe craft duelled with whirling demon birds, while gunnery pylons spat devastating blasts at soaring shoals of ravening predator beasts. The Inari fighters swept low, the tip of a perfect spear thrust devised by Meliniel. They punched a hole through towards the pyramid. Others widened the breach in the demon army. Into the maelstrom of war plunged the Aeldari, weapons targeted at the unnatural host of the great enemy. Concentrated lasfire rippled through iridescent bodies and mobs of howling demonettes, while missile cluster strikes ripped apart towering monsters that swept up clawfuls of Necrontyr warriors. At this moment, a demon lord burst free. Its form, 4 arms and a snake-like body, like a practice lance splintering against armour. The thrust of the wild riders split upon the surging demonic host. The demon prince throbbed with warp power, an incarnation of the Aeldari's worst nightmares, a prophet of destruction that filled them with overwhelming dread. Where it attacked, the Aeldari withdrew, terrified of their souls falling to the consumption of she who thirsts. Nuadu of Samhan seeks a way to close the portal. He had accidentally opened it earlier. For several heartbeats, the Wild Lord stared directly down into the melee between the demons and Necrontyr, shifting immortal bodies of pink and grey and pale flesh against the silvery tide of the reawakened machine hosts. The Aeldari and Necrons fought under an alliance of circumstance, and new Necron forces approached from resurrection fissures of Drade light. Heavier infantry this time, and with them floated more spider constructors, vomiting forth fresh clouds of scarabs and hexapods, with riders upon their backs that clambered deftly over the sloping walls of the tomb buildings. And these new forces, through their numbers, guided the Aeldari to meet one of the Necrontyr, the Watcher in the Dark. It says the gathered Aeldari that one of them will have to die to activate the vault. We are told the gate had been sealed by a combination of Necrontyr learning and Aeldari sorcery, and only with the aid of the Aeldari could the capstone be reactivated, and the gate to the warp shut. I assume this is one of those permanent ones you see in the other parts of the lore. I'm talking about the portal there. And the Watcher in the Dark shows the Aeldari that the complex is now fully awakened. A trapped Satan shard is commanded by the Necron, and a rain of plunging fireballs slams down amid the cavorting demon host. Then jade beams were unleashed. This gives the Eldar an opening. Ivrain orders they fight alongside the Sun Eater, but the portal in response gorged out more demons, demonettes in this case, which stalls the Aeldari Necron advance. They were vulnerable. Meliniel, the Warshad, takes this moment to unleash Kayla Mencha Kane. He has within him a true shard of the fallen Eldar god. From within, the flames of Cain burst free, immolating Meliniel with black and red. His distending figure grew thrice in size, plates of pitted iron replacing flesh and armour, boiling magma searing through him where blood had run moments before. The hand upon his breast wept thick blood, the curse of Eldinish's murder, while in his other his spear transformed into Anaris, the Kinslayer, infamous Widowmaker, sword of myth. The war shard was born, he wrecks the demons around him, and then a screech of challenge echoed from above, and the serpentine demon prince dived. Hands becoming long claws of serrated silver. The war shard turned, blade leaping up to meet the incoming monster. The edge of Anaris crashed against the immortal talons aimed at his chest. The impact of the creature's attack sent them both skidding across the plaza, crushing demons and Necron beneath their bulk as they rolled, a flaming, scintillating mass of mutual hatred. A blow on the war shard drew blood, but it only laughed and said, "Puny prince." It hammered its fist into the demon's face and hacked into its midriff with Anaris, and then kicked the demon off the tip, and its demon host was scattered as it fell amongst them. And the shard of Cain proclaimed, "Now you face a king." Around the shard, Ivrain pressed forward with flashing strokes from the Sword of Sorrows. Around her, the blood brides and coiled serpent cleaved into the baleful host, cutting down fiends and demonettes to either side. Eldrad and Samhan seers had formed a cabal, conjoining their powers to hurl purple bolts and white flames. Even though the null field of the Necron was active, their blast went through. With the runes breached, it was only the pylons keeping the planet in some form of reality. Another demon emerges, and it seems to have the aspect of Cain, but then it's noticed the creature is a Slaneshi mockery of their god. Its whip was in fact made of intertwined writhing figures, each an Aeldari figure, no bigger than her thumb, limbs entwined with others to shape the flex of the impossible lash. The haft of the spear was the same, forged from the spirits of dead Aeldari. To combat this, Ivrain needs a soul, and there is one caught between worlds, Nuadu's mother's spirit, but his father does not want to release it. Neal tried to save her. She had not entirely died in the webway, as Nuadu had thought. Neal took part of her into himself. Seeing what happened, and as leader of Samhan, Neal gives up her soul. Such is the desperation therein. It goes to Ivrain, who used it to reach her god. Like an approaching storm, its energy boiled and swelled within the warp, forcing itself through the permeable layer of the Necron prison dimension. And what emerged was an incarnation of Inyad. It fought the demon prince. The exalted servant of the great enemy directed its whip towards the incarnate. The grasping soul lash aimed for the wrist of the hand holding the crone sword. The incarnate chopped down, catching the twirling whip end with the haft of its mutable weapon. Tendrils of spirit whip coiled about the haft, and the incarnate pulled, wrenching the demon prince closer. The war shard here had dispatched its own enemy, the snake prince, and the Inari were able to push forward. Nuadu and his father seized that the spirit was killing him. We learn that nobody can sustain two spirits, and that with only his own soul his father will live, but a sacrifice is still needed to close the rift. Saying there was a way, Kaladin races off on her jet bike to make her sacrifice. She is half-sister to Nuadu and his father. She says to her brother, who she feels will be a great leader, that he can succeed. After she was gone, each sparking sheet of power snatched at the demons, setting bars of energy in their immaterial bodies that dragged them back towards the breach. Searing flecks danced along the ground, looping tendrils of silver light above the host of the great enemy, shearing through them, whipping their screaming forms back into the breach, leaving nothing behind. After both sides see the Catan imprisoned again and walk away with a temporary peace, as other groups of Necrons and Aeldari must have done in the past, in the face of a greater threat. So, we turn things over to you at this stage. What do you think to this lore? Do you feel it adds anything? For me, I think chaos being behind everything is boring for the setting, but a small group of Necrons and Aeldari collaborating for a short time against that enemy, I think that adds a little note of interest, but nothing on a big scale. And if you like this video on the War in Heaven, try this one.